the girl set out to search for her father. On the road, she encountered forest guardians, mysterious beings that could split apart and reform at will. Not long ago, her father had left home for work and never returned. Her mother had already passed away. One night, she dreamed of her father in danger. The next morning, she whispered goodbye to her mother's spirit and began her journey. Deep in the mountains, she told the guardians she was looking for her father, but they didn't understand what father meant to humans. They thought he was some giant rock. She tried her best to explain. One guardian seemed to understand. It lifted her onto its hand and raced toward the mountain's peak. At the top, she saw no father, only a sacred tree rising from the center of a lake. "That's your father," the guardian said. "If that tree dies, so will we." The girl shook her head. "That may be your father, but it's not mine." Exhausted, she fell asleep on a stone. The guardians quietly dispersed. When she awoke, the forest was covered in fog. Through the mist, she saw a human figure. Her heart leapt. She thought it was her dad. She ran forward and hugged tight. But it wasn't her father. It was a man named Jack. After a brief conversation, she told him her purpose. Jack noticed the footprints of guardians nearby. She explained that they were protectors of the land, though now missing. Jack offered her a ride in his helicopter. There she met his son, George. Soon they hovered over a construction site. Jack pointed to the wreckage below. "See that? The guardians did this. They're dangerous." But Jack was lying. In truth, he was a ruthless capitalist, destroying the forest for profit. The animals had risen against him, wrecking his machines. And in the chaos, the girl's father had been buried underground. Too young to doubt him, the girl believed Jack's story. She even led him to the sacred tree. Jack fired a rocket straight into its trunk. A massive hole tore through the tree. At that moment, the guardians' bodies ripped open. A violent purple smoke erupted, shrouding the world in darkness. When Jack prepared to fire again, George shoved his hand aside. The missile flew wide, sparking a wildfire in the forest. The girl stood frozen in horror, but Jack laughed with joy. He finally confessed the truth. Her father had been trapped in a collapsed tunnel. The girl leapt from the helicopter in shock. George, disgusted by his father, followed her. Animals swarmed and drove Jack into a cave. Back at the shore, the girl wept over the devastation. George comforted her. The guardians appeared, crying over the wounded tree. The girl whispered, "Don't lose hope. There's still a chance." The guardians dug deep underground. There, they found a single seed. They poured their magic into it, and it sprouted, growing faster and faster until a new tree rose to the sky. The girl awoke as warmth returned to the world. Workers digging the tunnels rescued both her father and Jack. The moment she saw her father, she ran to him. He ran to her. They embraced with everything they had. George stood watching, his eyes full of longing. Then his father, broken and humbled, walked to him. He begged for forgiveness. And George, seeing his father's change of heart, chose to forgive him.